Week 2 is officially in the books, and friend of the show, Big Al, is officially the 12th ranked player in the entire world with only 2 games wrong the entire season. So stick around to make sure you don't only just see our picks, but his as well. For Thursday Night Football, we have the Bills versus the Dolphins.
I ended up going with the Bills here. Obviously not a hot take. They're probably one of the best 3 teams in the NFL, and the Dolphins might be one of the 3 worst teams. I don't really see a way the Dolphins end up winning this game. Unless the Bills just Allen have some games where he just doesn't show up, so that would have to happen. This Dolphins offense would have to click like crazy. I just don't see that happening. I think the Bills win by 3 scores.
Yeah, this game's not going to be close. It's a really boring Thursday night game, to be honest.
The Dolphins have so much primetime games.
It's kind of annoying. I also picked the Bills, and Big Al also did pick the Bills. It's a very easy pick. I don't even know how else to elaborate on this besides the Bills are going to kill them. Like you said, the only way this happens is if Allen doesn't show up. And I don't think this Bills defense is very good. So if the Dolphins offense was clicking and Allen didn't show up, I guess there would be a chance. But those things would have to happen for it to be close. So I don't think that this game is going to be very close. But next game we have the Browns at home taking on the Green Bay Packers.
Another easy one. Packers are going to destroy them. They've looked like the best defense in the NFL. I'm not saying they are, but they're playing like it, and they're going to be going up against the Browns' terrible offense. The Browns probably scored 10 or less points. I'm a little bit worried about Myles Garrett, honestly. I mean, we're playing Anthony Belton, so he's probably just going to line up on him all day, so we might get a lot more pressure than usual, but that's really their only way to win is if Myles Garrett absolutely wrecks the game and the Browns get some scores, which I also don't see happening.
Maybe defensive scores or something because their offense is really, really bad. It's been horrible this season.
Our offense hasn't turned the ball over.
Right, I'm saying that's their only chance is because their offense is terrible. Maybe putting Dylan Gabriel in would be a good way to do it too. But this offense has just been absolutely horrific this season in every single aspect. Joe Flacco looked horrifically bad last week. Against that Ravens defense. And, Quinshon Judkins had a pretty solid debut, but outside of that, they really haven't had anything that looks even okay. This team is just not very good. The defense has looked pretty solid, but the offense is just so bad that it probably won't matter. So I also went with the Packers. And Big Al, this is his lock of the week here.
It's my lock of the week as well.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah,
So
I almost forgot about it.
Yeah, so lock of the week for Big Al and McKay here. And yeah, I think it's a pretty easy one. They're going to beat the Browns, and if they don't, then everyone needs to stop talking about the Packers. Moving on though, we have the Titans at home taking on the Colts. Who you got?
I went with the Colts, obviously. They're 2-0, They've beaten some good teams like the Broncos and the Dolphins. People thought were good at the time. But they've looked good doing it. I mean, they just Daniel Jones just picked apart one of the best defenses in the NFL. Not sure how we wouldn't be able to pick apart the Titans defense. I think the Titans, though, they've shown that they can probably sneak out some victories. They only lost by 8 to the Broncos. The Rams game was close, and I think it was the fourth quarter still.
Yeah, but then they ended up losing by 20.
Yeah, but they've been able to keep things close. I think they're going to be able to sneak out some wins, which is why I was definitely not going to pick this as my lock of the week, even though the Colts have looked really hot.
Yeah, the Colts have been hot to start the year. Daniel Jones has looked really good. I do think I am one of the believers that Daniel Jones is going to come back down to earth eventually. This team does have talent around the whole team, though. On the offensive line is very talented. Jonathan Taylor's ridiculous. The receiving core is really solid. Tyler Warren's looked incredible. And the defense has a couple pieces, but, they have not looked great. They didn't look great last week. But I do think that the Colts get this win. But I think this is a sneaky game the Titans could actually pull out, kind of like what you're talking about, where they make things close. This Titans defense is really underrated, in my opinion. It's really solid. It has been to start the year, at least. And so I think if Daniel Jones comes back down to earth this week, then there's definitely a way they lose this game. But obviously, the Colts, for me, are such a hard team to predict because you have no idea what Daniel Jones is going to do this week. And so, obviously, if he plays like he has been, the Colts are going to kill them, in my opinion. And if he doesn't, then this could be a close game. So yeah, we're going to have to wait and see. But obviously, I also picked the Colts. Next game, Big Al also picked the Colts as well.
Okay.
Moving on to the next game, though, with the Minnesota Vikings at home taking on the Bengals. Who you got? This is a hard one. Really?
They're in very similar situations. Both were supposed to be contenders before the season, but quarterbacks went down. I think J.J. McCarthy's injury was fake. I heard a Vikings fan say he thinks it's fake.
Yeah.
That's a problem. But Jake Browning has a lot more experience with these pass catchers. He's been able to give this team wins in the past when Burrow's been out. Mm-hmm. And Carson Wentz, this is his first year with the Vikings, I believe. He's very risky, very, he just plays not very well since the Eagles days. Like, I don't remember the last time he's had a good game, honestly. So
yeah,
maybe better than J.J. McCarthy, but I still think the Bengals got this one.
Big Al agrees with you. Big Al also has the Bengals beating the Vikings. I think this is a very hard game to predict.
Yeah, definitely.
This is one of the closest games of the week. I ended up going with the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings are going to be at home. That I think that will play maybe a little bit of an advantage. I think they have a really good home crowd that can get in. A guy like Jake Browning's head, who maybe doesn't have the most experience playing in those atmospheres. And I think that the Brian Flores defense, they're going to scheme something up to really hurt Jake Browning. This offensive line has looked really bad to start the season from the Bengals, and I think that they can take advantage of that with these blitzes that Brian Flores likes scheming up. And I honestly think that, I don't really trust Carson Wentz, but ultimately I trust him more than J.J. McCarthy was on this offense, and they got a win with J.J. McCarthy, and they're playing...
They played the Bears.
Right, but this defense is even worse than the Bears. So I think that they can put up enough points to win, because honestly I could see them slowing down this Bengals offense really effectively. And I think they're going to be able to run the ball with Jordan Mason against this Bengals defense. And if they're able to do that, then I believe in Kevin O'Connell to put up enough points to win with what I expect them to be able to stop from Jake Browning. So I'm going with the Vikings, but like I said, could go either way pretty easily this week. Next up, though, we have the Patriots at home taking on the Steelers.
It's another difficult one for me. The Steelers have looked really bad to start the year, a lot worse than we expected. I still went with the Steelers, though. This defense is very talented. I feel like eventually they're going to go to what they actually are, They're playing down right now. And Drake May's a young quarterback, he's might make some mistakes. Even though last game was like an amazing game from Drake May, I don't think that's just going to continue against the Steelers defense. And Aaron Rodgers has looked really good to start the year, aside from like that last throw against the Seahawks.
Yeah, me and Big Al both agree with you. We both went with the Steelers as well. For me, it wasn't as hard. The Steelers team is very talented, like you said, and it has been weird because they have started the year pretty rough. However, I am a firm believer that they're going to figure it out. They've had a lot go wrong. The Caleb Johnson kick return, the pick that was literally in like a receiver's hands and would have gone to another receiver's hands. It was thrown into a defense's hands. Would have made the game closer. They just have these little things that are going wrong, or big things in a lot of scenarios that are going wrong, but I think can be cleaned up and fixed. And this defense is so talented that I believe that they're going to be able to do something. They got to figure it out. Okay. At least be a good defense, even if they're not elite anymore. They do have a lot of older pieces, but I still believe in this team. Aaron Rodgers looking this good to start the year is a really good sign for them, in my opinion, to where this offense is going to be good enough to where if his defense is good, this team's going to be really, really good. So, like you said, Drake May against this, or being a young quarterback against this defense, I'm going to go ahead and pick this defense. I do think that the Patriots could upset for sure, like you said, but I'm definitely going with the Steelers on this one. Moving on to the Eagles-Rams game. I think that this game being 87% Eagles is kind of crazy. I think it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good game, but I still went with the Eagles. I think this offense is going to do enough to win, and I haven't seen enough from the run game for the Rams. Kyron has not looked good this year. Blake Corum's been looking better, but he's not that good either, and this Eagles defense is playing really well. They just let the GOAT Patrick Mahomes get like 10 points or whatever, clearly just because they played that well and not because Mahomes sucks.
Yeah.
But Saquon, this is a good game. He cooked them last year. It's a good game to get him back on track.
He
I think
twice,
he has a big game. Yeah, he had like 200 yards both games.
Yeah, so if that continues, obviously. But I'm actually going to go with an upset here. Upset of the week, I'm going with the Rams. I think this value here on Pigskin Pick'ems is just very good. 13% for a game I think is a lot closer to 50-50 than 13 to 8 to 90, basically. And so ultimately, yes, the Saquon has killed them the last 2 times. I am hoping they can finally like hone in on that or something. But Jalen Hurts hasn't looked very good to start the year, in my opinion. Not even have like what do you have 100 yards against the Chiefs last week. I feel like this Eagles team has left a lot to be desired this season, and so has the Rams in some aspects. But Matthew Stafford was the biggest question mark coming into the year, and he's looked great. In these first 2 weeks of the season. His connection with Puka and Devontae is exactly what we wanted it to be. And this Rams team was the closest to beating the Eagles in the playoffs. They almost did. They were very, very, very close. They played a really good game in the snow in Philadelphia. They go back to Philadelphia. I think they want revenge. I think Puka and Devontae against this young secondary, these young corners, are going to get the better of them. And I think that they're going to just put up enough points to beat this Eagles team that just has been lacking on the offensive side of the ball, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good game. What did Big Al pick?
Big Al picked the Eagles to beat the Rams as well. So
I saw a stat about Jalen Hurts. You know what? You know wins above replacement or whatever, wins above average, whichever one.
Yeah, I don't really understand.
What do you think Jalen Hurts is this year?
Can it go in the negatives? Like negative something?
0.
He's just 0?
He's average.
Dang.
He's attempted 0 intermediate passes this year.
That's crazy, actually. In 2 games? That's wild. But moving on to the next game, we're going down to Florida for the Bucs to take on the Jets.
Last week, this might have been a more interesting game to pick, but after I saw the Jets look like basically non-NFL caliber, I can't pick them. I got to go with the Bucs. Baker's got back-to-back game-winning drives. I don't think he'll have to do that this game. Their defense is good enough to stop Justin Fields, and Baker's going to be able to put up points early. It's going to be not even close.
Yeah. This Jets defense looked horrific. I wasn't a believer in Aaron Glenn. I'm definitely not now because this defense got way worse this offseason, it seems. And they have the pieces to be a solid defense, but it's looked just absolutely horrific. And so I don't understand why you'd predict the Bucs not to be able to continue that against the Jets this week. And so obviously I also went with the Bucs. So did Big Al. And I don't think it's gonna be very close, like you said. I don't know if Fields is playing or not. Tyrod Taylor might be starting, and if that's the case, they just don't have a chance. The only way that this team has a chance is if Fields plays like he did in Week 1. But I just don't see that happening, obviously, and he might not even be playing. So I don't know how close this game is going to be. Next game, though, we have the Commanders at home against the Raiders.
This one's really a true 50-50. I went with the Raiders. I think Geno's a good quarterback when it comes to dissecting bad defenses. Second, he plays a good defense. He looks like a terrible quarterback. But I don't like this Commanders defense. I don't think it's very good, especially in the secondary. I think Geno's going to be able to attack that. And even if they can't run the ball with Ashton Genty, they haven't really been able to all year, honestly. So it's not like that big of a deal. And then they're playing against Marcus Mariota. He did look good last year when he played, but
he also played the Panthers when he played, just so we throw that in there.
Yeah. So he probably had an insane run game that game, and it's going to be Krosky Merritt's first career start. They just lost Eckler. They're going to have to run the ball with a bunch of inexperienced guys. I'm going to go with the Raiders.
I think this is going to be a good game, like you said. I also went the Raiders. Big reason being the value again. 14 to 86%. It's just crazy.
The backup quarterback.
I'm just putting this out there. If Jane Daniels was playing, I think I'd also pick the Raiders this week. Like, Jane Daniels looked horrible last week. Like, so bad.
He was playing the Packers, and this is the Raiders.
Big reason I picked the Raiders is that I think he's just not being talked about for whatever reason. Guys, Brock Bowers is about to go off. Guys, we just saw what Tucker Kraft did against this team. Yes, Tucker Kraft's a good tight end. He's nowhere near Brock Bowers. I think we can agree on that. And they just manned up, I forget his first name, but Harris, a number 3 on the Commanders. He was manned up against Tucker Kraft the entire game. And he is not good in coverage. If they're going to do that to Brock Bowers, he's going to have like a 200-yard game, bro. Because like he would just keep getting open. This guy could not guard Tucker Kraft for the life of him. He had no idea where he was going. And Brock Bowers is just a better tight end. Like you said, Geno's pretty good at dissecting terrible defenses. This is one of those. And I think he's just going to feed Brock Bowers this week. And they're going to beat the Commanders pretty handily. But Big Al disagrees. Big Al has the Commanders beating the Raiders.
Interesting.
So maybe we're wrong because he seems to be getting a lot right.
Wrong all year.
So maybe this is his third, or maybe we're just stupid. But I am going to go with the Raiders as well. Next game, though, we have the Carolina Panthers at home taking on the Atlanta Falcons.
This is an easy one. The Panthers have looked like maybe the worst team in football. They did almost beat the Cardinals technically, but I was kind of lucky. The Cardinals played a really bad game, and they still beat the Panthers. So I'm going to go with the Falcons. They played a bad game last week, and they won by 20. So Penix is going to be able to dissect this defense, and literally he doesn't even have to because Bijan's going to get 200 yards against the worst defense in football, basically.
Right. I also picked the Falcons, obviously. This is my lock of the week.
The risky one in division.
I feel like it's not risky at all because, man, like, this Panthers team is terrible. And I'm a huge believer in this Falcons team. This defense looked great last week. Obviously, he was playing J.J. McCarthy, so what does that mean? But 4 rookies for them had at least one really good play, impact play. And that's a great sign. That's an incredible sign. This defense looks way better than it did a year ago. And when Penix played the Panthers last year, he looked absolutely incredible. Bijan, like you said, is just going to have a ridiculously big game. This run defense is so bad. If they ran the ball every play, I think they'd win. So, that's why it's my lock of the week. And I just think that when Penix starts the ball, it's going to be really nice as well. Like you said, this offense had a terrible game last week. I think everything kind of went wrong. Fumble right outside the red zone. They couldn't get the plays in the red zone. Those sorts of things going wrong. They still won by 20, like you said. And they still put up a respectable amount of points, like 23 or whatever. That's not like a horrible offensive game. It feels like it just, if you look at, if you actually watch the game, they had a bad game. But if they have a good game, they're going to kill this team. And if they have a bad game, I think they're still going to win by multiple scores. So that's why it's my lock of the week. Big Al also obviously going with the Falcons here. Next up, though, we have the Jags at home taking on the Texans. Interesting that the Jags are favored.
I don't understand this. The Jags have looked terrible. Are they 1-1?
Yeah, they're 1-1.
Okay, so because they played the Panthers' terrible team, then they're going to be favored. I don't get it. The Texans looked like they almost won that game against the Buccaneers, who everybody's crowning as a top 10 team. So you really can't have the Texans that low. And the Jaguars can't get the ball to Brian Thomas Jr. Their run game's only been good because they played the 2 worst run defenses in the NFL. That's not going to happen this week. So I'm just going to go with why did I forget who it was? The
Texans, yeah.
And their defense is amazing. Trevor Lawrence is going to do nothing.
Me and Big Al obviously also going with the Texans here. I don't understand why this is so close either.
It's just wins probably. The Texans are 0-2. So.
Right, but the Texans could they have their offense just looked really bad and they've been very close in both games against way better teams than the Jags. Way better. Both unanimously top 10 teams. The Jags are nowhere near that. So I don't see how this offense really moves the ball against this Texans defense, like you said. And I think this Jags defense is bad enough to at least let the Texans put up some points. So I don't think this game's going to be close. Don't understand why it's so close at all. Somehow this game is 20% closer than the Commanders-Raiders. So don't know how that makes any sense.
Interesting.
Moving on to the Chargers at home, taking on the Denver Broncos.
This is an easy one for the Chargers. The Broncos have looked absolutely terrible. They just lost to the Colts. That's not good. They almost lost to the Titans. Are we serious?
We did not almost lose to the Titans.
The Chargers aren't really a super high-tier contender because they can't run the ball, and that's very important. But this defense is going to be able to shut down this Broncos offense. And I think Herbert is going to be able to dissect this Broncos defense. We just saw Daniel Jones do that.
Yeah. I mean, it makes complete sense. Big Al also going with the Chargers here. I'm going with my Denver Broncos.
Why are you just getting a pick wrong just to pick your team?
Well, the value's there. 19%. I think we have a higher chance than that to win this football game. So the value's there. And I want to pick my team, my boys. I want to believe that we have a good chance.
But do you believe?
The one thing that I will put out there real fast is the Broncos' reasoning for looking terrible a lot of the time has been Alex Singleton and Justin Sternad, especially in the pass game, but even in the run game as well. Thing is, the Chargers don't have a tight end or a running back out of the backfield that's going to be able to attack us like that, so they're going to have to attack our corners. I don't believe Surtain's going to have another game this season where he allows anywhere near the amount of catches that he did. And whenever he plays the Chargers, they've never attacked him or anything. And so, if they dissect the defense or whatever, I think the way they're going to do it is through Ladd, which is very possible still. But I think that our defense does match up pretty solid against them. Their run game is non-existent with Amari and Hampton. And so I do think that the Chargers are probably a little bit more likely, but I just want my Broncos to win. I want to pick them. It'd just be such a big win for us.
That's
sad. It'd be a huge win for us. And I think that the matchup is there. We have if our offense can put up points, I think we can win this game. But I just don't know if we can or not against this elite Chargers defense. So
Tyler Conklin's not he's not good, but
right, but
if Alex Singleton's as bad as you say he is,
yeah.
Conklin might have 65 yards and a touchdown.
I wouldn't be surprised. But
okay, and they're not used to getting that production out of the tight end position. That's still a huge
I'm
boost.
very much hoping that Dre Greenlaw is playing this week. It has not been announced. Please come and play for us.
But Singleton's still going to be playing.
Right, but if Greenlaw's on the field, it's going to be such a big difference. Such a big difference.
I really want him to look terrible, dude.
Greenlaw?
Yeah, I want all your
That's
linebackers
horrible.
to suck.
But I do think that we have a decent shot. I really think it depends if we can score on the elite Chargers defense. And if we can, everybody maybe needs to start talking about Bo Nix. So, because we know his Chargers defense is amazing.
40 PFF grade Bo Nix.
Yeah, I don't know how that's possible.
You know what the second worst starter's PFF grade is?
What?
55.
Bro, are we joking?
It's a 15 difference.
He did not play bad
It's
at all.
McCarthy, I think.
You're talking about McCarthy played better than Nix?
And then Bryce Young's above McCarthy.
Bro, Nix threw 3 touchdowns. And
No, not on the week. I'm saying on the year.
That's crazy.
But
That's
I think
actually insane.
Nix's week was worse than anybody else's year, according to the grades.
That's ridiculous. This week?
Yeah.
Against the Colts?
Yeah.
Bro, what? That doesn't make any sense. All right, moving on. Seahawks at home taking on the Saints. Do we even need to talk about this one?
The Seahawks. The Saints have been playing teams pretty well. I think they'll be able to sneak out some wins against bad teams. They haven't played bad teams really, so this is another team that's not bad. They're a very high floor team, if that makes sense, with their defense. I feel like JSN's never really going to have a bad week. One of their running backs is going to always be on, probably. I just don't see how they lose this game.
Right.
So.
I don't really see a way that the Saints pull it out. Obviously, going into the Seahawks, and they're at home, this is just very easy win for the Seahawks this week. Big Al agreeing, of course.
Mm-hmm.
We'd be pretty shocked if he was like, yeah, Saints this week. So, yeah, he also went to Seahawks. Pretty easy one.
Mm-hmm.
But next, we're going to Chicago. The Cowboys are going to travel to take on the Bears. Who you got?
Cowboys by a lot.
By a lot. Okay.
This Bears offense has looked terrible. They can't run the ball. They're not really passing the ball efficiently either. Rome had a big day, but that was a lot in garbage time.
I don't think it was.
Most of his yards were in garbage time.
Really?
Well,
thought he
most
had
of
them
the game
before.
was in garbage time.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
But people
gonna
are
say I thought it
still.
was the
Did you
third
see
quarter.
that play to Caleb that I was showing you live? Yeah, everybody's the one across body around.
Yeah.
Everyone's going crazy. Caleb's a bad quarterback. Explain this throw.
I told you, or no, you told me they were going to glaze that throw. That's not a good decision. That's a horrible decision.
Yeah, he's lucky that got completed. That was probably a dumber throw than the Cam Ward play.
It wasn't completed. That's why people are complaining.
Yeah, but
Rome dropped it.
Yeah, well,
and because there's
dropped.
4 guys.
This Bears defense is garbage. I just don't see how they're going to end up winning this game against this elite Cowboys passing offense. Dak Prescott's looked really good this year, and their weapons are amazing. So,
yeah, I mean the Cowboys offense has looked great. I also went the Cowboys. I believe Big Al also went with the Cowboys, and so yeah, I mean this game it could be the Bears in my opinion. I don't think that counting them out is kind of crazy. But the reason I say that is because the Cowboys' defense has looked really, really bad. So if the Bears can stop them at all, which I just don't think is going to happen, but if they did, they could win this game. But obviously that's why I went the Cowboys. I don't think that's going to happen. San Fran, though, at home taking on the Cardinals. I think this is a really interesting game, and 72% of people picked the Niners.
I have to check which one I picked. This one's 50-50 in my opinion. I could see it going either way. But I ended up going with the Niners.
Interesting. Okay.
I trust Mac Jones.
Interesting.
He played well against the Saints, and I think the Cardinals haven't really had a test this year. They've only played against terrible teams, and they've barely won those games. They played the Saints and the Panthers, probably the 2 worst teams in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the Niners are obviously not that. They're going to play well no matter what, so I just haven't seen anything from the Cardinals to suggest me picking them.
Me and Big Al both disagree with you.
Interesting.
This is Big Al's upset of the week, and I'm also going the Cardinals. I don't think this is 50-50. I think this is about a 60-40 in favor of the Cardinals. I like the Cardinals a lot this year. They haven't really had a test like you said, but I think they're going to be able to thrive in this division matchup this week. With Brock Purdy probably being out, I don't think it's been announced that he's officially out yet, but
he's out
probably
for sure. Basically,
and so I still think that the Cardinals are going to do well. This defense has looked pretty solid in both games. Obviously, at the end of the game, they kind of let up and let the Panthers score. But when they needed to lock back in, the Panthers had no chance of moving the football in that last drive. They just couldn't move it at all. The only thing they moved was roughly the passer penalty, and then they turned it over on downs again. So, and obviously it's the Panthers and the Saints. So how much does that mean? But this Cardinals defense is pretty solid. With the addition of Will Johnson, who's looked very, very good to start his rookie season. But also, I think that this offense has a lot of pieces. I think if we can get Marvin Harrison the ball, that this game might not be close if they were able to let him thrive. But I could see the Niners obviously taking this. I said 60-40 for a reason. I think this is a really good upset pick, though. Only 28% people is kind of crazy to me, and Big Al agrees. So.
Yeah, but the Cardinals can't run the ball right now, and they can't get the ball to their best receiver. So.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that can change.
Yeah, I just don't think I'd. That just doesn't sound like a match, like a team that I'm going to be picking for against a good team.
Right. Well, on Sunday Night Football, we have the Giants at home taking on the Chiefs.
Wow, what a game.
Yeah. Who you got?
Chiefs are going to win this game, obviously. Yeah, I mean, they have Mahomes. Has not played well this year at all, but...
Looks pretty bad
this team's... What they lose by... They were still in the game against the Eagles in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. They almost beat the Chargers. They've been playing good teams well, even if they're not looking good doing it, if that makes sense. I still think they're going to win this game. The Giants are a terrible team, even though Russ had a really good week.
Insane week.
Yeah, insane week. This offense looked amazing. I don't think they can repeat that against this Chiefs defense, which hasn't looked great so far, but
it hasn't
the talent's
looked terrible.
There. Yeah.
I also want the Chiefs, so did Big Al, obviously.
Interesting. I thought you were going to pick the Giants.
No, but I do think this is a sneaky game the Giants could steal. Obviously, I'm not going to predict it, but I do think there's a possibility. Maybe that's why 9% of people, that's higher than I thought, would pick the Giants.
Way higher than I thought.
Would pick the Giants, but I think that might be a good... if I wasn't already picking so many upsets, I probably would, but there's a lot of really good value this week, I think, on the upsets, so I'm not going to go with it, but... the difference between this year and last year, in my opinion, of these Chiefs is they play every team close, whether it was a bad team or a good team, and that's why people got so frustrated, right? Mm-hmm. Even the Panthers, they were playing close last season, and so it's frustrating. It's if you're a 15-2 team, you need to be blowing teams out every once in a while at least. And so they played every team close, but they always won no matter if they were a good or a bad team in the end. This season, they've played two teams close, just like they usually do, and they've lost both of those games. So maybe they're on a different trajectory here. I think this game, it might be pretty close, even if the Chiefs, take it, because it's always close with them for some reason. Mm-hmm. And I think that the Giants could sneak it out if the defense steps up at all. If Russ plays like he did last week, I think they have it. But
they could, but he's not. You can't expect that.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying there is a possibility from what we've seen that they could sneak this out. Mm-hmm. But obviously, I'm not betting on it, and Big Al is also not betting on it. But last game, oh my goodness, I'm excited for this one. I kind of wish it was Sunday Night Football, but man, Monday Night Football is Ravens at home taking on the Lions. I think this is gonna be a great game.
It's gonna be game of the year, maybe.
Yeah.
This Ravens defense kind of sucks sometimes. They allowed Josh Allen to drop 45 points or whatever, 300 yards in the fourth quarter. This Lions team can definitely win in a shootout. I mean, they just put up 52 points. This could be a very high scoring game. But in the end, I think Lamar Jackson's going to have 5 touchdowns, and they're going to beat the Lions.
Wow.
5 total.
Yeah. I think that's definitely a possibility. This Lions defense hasn't really looked like anything special to start the year, by any means. But neither is the Ravens. But I think a big reason for that was Jair. Wasn't he a healthy scratch last week, though?
No, he had a new injury.
Oh, that's right. Well,
not new. He's recovering from his injury from last year.
If he plays, I might go with the Lions. I'm going to be honest. But I think this is a very hard game. I keep going back and forth because part of me wants to, I want to pick the Lions because it's kind of a need to win this game. This is kind of a must-win for them. Not really, but for the division, it kind of is. Just with the Packers getting that head start. So I feel like they're going to be very locked in. They want this game. They want to prove to the world they're still that elite team. And I know the Ravens kind of fumble games like that sometimes with the coaching or whatever it may be. But I'm going to go the Ravens. I just don't see a way they stop Lamar Jackson. But I think this is going to be a very high-scoring game, like you said. Maybe it's a Monday night repeat of Jared Goff's classic against the Chiefs from 2018 or whatever. I could see it being that high of scoring. Like, I think that game was like 53-50 or something. It could literally get all the way up there because that's how elite these offenses are, and they're playing against each other, obviously. So, very excited for this game. I believe Big Al also picked the Ravens, and he did. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Ravens because I just think it's more likely. But
the best team in the NFL.
But I think that this is like only like maybe 60-40.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little bit less for the Ravens. And 78% of people picked them. So, which is just a little bit higher than I would want it to be. But ultimately, that's our picks for this week, and that's Big Al's pick for this week. We'll see if he continues to rise the leaderboard as he's the 12th ranked player in the entire world. Let us know what your upset of the week, what your lock of the week is, and we're excited for week 3 of football. Have a good one, everybody.